Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I begin my series of videos talking about Scion 2nd Edition. Scion was a game originally published under White Wolf, and the IP was then purchased by Onyx Path Publishing. And this is a storytelling game about modern mythologies. In it, you are playing the Scions, whether that be children, the chosen representatives, or something created straight up by and empowered by one of the gods of various mythologies. You are playing someone who is directly connected with one of various world mythologies. You could be playing someone connected to the Norse mythologies, the Irish, the Hindu, the Japanese, the Greek, the Egyptian. Any of these, and any of many more. And with these come these stories, the connections to the past, which in many cases are going to pop up through the stories of the game. But, with all that said, it's time for us to start talking about Scion 2nd Edition, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. When talking about the world of Scion, you must first look at the origins of the prime conflict in the setting, and what that prime conflict is. You see, once in the ancient past, there were these entities called the Titans. This is a case where the Greek pantheon's name for them got accepted by the world in general. The Titans are those things that predated the gods. They are the primal forces of the world. An avalanche is a manifestation of a part of a Titan. A volcanic eruption is a part of a Titan. A tidal wave is a part of a Titan coming in. And, the Titans, by their nature, were dangerous to humanity. Were an existential threat to humanity in and of themselves. And so, the gods sealed them away, locked them away, slew them, whatever they could to diminish their impact on the world. Because the Titans did not need humanity. They just need Earth to be intact. Surtur, manifesting through a volcanic eruption, does not care about the people and animals in that town nearby. He just needs to erupt the volcano. And the gods, on the other hand, don't need humanity to be themselves, but they need humanity to understand themselves. Because it is through the worship of humans that the gods are shaped, that they're mirrored by what we believe that they are. And that keeps them both evolving and changing, but also helps them understand what they are more. Helps them forge their own identity and keeps them from going into a state like the Titans. And so that is the generally conceived core conflict. the gods versus the Titans and the Titan spawn. And this is sort of a Cold War, in that the gods don't fight the Titans directly, and the Titans don't fight the gods directly. Instead, the Titans created what were called Titan spawn. The monsters of myth and legend. And the gods, rather than come down and slay these threats to humanity themselves, elevated up humans. Some humans. It could be that the humans that they elevated were their kids, or they just chose someone who so represented their beliefs that that person needed to be empowered. Or maybe they created something for the sole purpose of serving them. Any of these ways, and myriad others, they elevated up humans. Select humans became what are called Scions. And these Scions become heroes. These people become the heroes of our myths and legends. Odysseus, Arjuna, all these heroes came from being selected by the gods, from being elevated by them. And they would go forth and fight the monsters, push the agendas of the gods, and then their stories would spread. As these stories spread, it fanned that spark of divine power that was put into these Scions, turning it from just a spark to a burning ember to a blaze, as the Scion would go from a hero to a demigod, and finally to such power spreading through them that they would step up and take their place among the gods of their own pantheon. But the world is a different place than what we think of. The world of Scion is similar to our own world, but different. Because, unlike our own world, gods walk among us. So, let's take a moment, and then we shall go right on into talking about the world itself. Before we continue this discussion, I just want to say, if you like this video, please click like and subscribe down below. Tell me what you like, what you didn't like in the comments. Love hearing more from my viewers. If there's something you want me to cover in the future, let me know. I will definitely take a look into it. With that all out of the way, let's just get right back into this, shall we? So, the world of Scion is our world, more or less. But there are noticeable changes. And these changes basically boil down to people know about Scions. There's sort of an open secret in the world. On one hand, people go about their daily lives doing things like they do. Sit, take a few moments to just watch your town. Watch how people go about things. They go to church, they go to work, they go shopping, all that. That still happens in Scion. That's still the way of things, because while people know Scions exist, they're not in huge numbers. But here's the catch. You're watching things go about on the daily basis. Day to day is no different. But yet, you'll find on YouTube videos of a hero fighting a chimera in the middle of downtown Pittsburgh. You'll find pictures of people racing cars and winning. You'll see that stuff. And then there's the simple fact that, yes, Christianity is still the dominant religion, but that great church in Rome, the Pantheon, the Catholic priests there know on certain days to get out of the way for a very different clergy to come. Because the cults, the different religious groups still worshiping the various pantheons that produce the Scions, they never went away. They're still out there. And, if you are a Scion of a Greek god, you're going to have easier time. You're going to be able to reach out to people who still worship that pantheon. You're going to be able to, if you are a Scion of an Egyptian god, you're going to be able to reach out to people who worship that pantheon. The Shen, the Chinese deities, you're going to have connections in with the Chinese communities and in the Chinatowns and similar to those communities, because you're part of them. You're part of their hierarchy of religion. And these cults, knowing that you're a Scion, will come to you with problems. They might come to you looking for advice. Or they might come to tell you, hey, there's this monster that's attacking people. Can you do something about it, please? That's the thing. You are going to see this mishmash of, it's a normal world until it's not. You can do odd things here, and no one would blink an eye. Oh, look, goes a bunch of motorcycles fused with humans. Oh, those are the modern centaurs. Just ignore them. Type reactions. Not exactly that extreme, but that could kind of happen. And that's what makes the new edition of Scion interesting. Because they went ahead and said, look, people know about this stuff. This stuff is part of what people see on a daily basis. And, the government agencies have Scions that they reach out to on specific issues. If a Scion's doing some really stupid stuff, the police know some Scions they can grab to help them deal with that rogue Scion. Because they don't stand a chance. They're just mortals. And that's really it. the world in second edition Scion is a world that knows about this divine aspect, that this is still active in the world. This is much different from the first edition of Scion, where there was a masquerading effect, where this stuff, while it happened, while people might see it, they forgot it, or you had to cover it up and make sure it didn't get known what was going on out there. But there's a lot more to this than just it's known, it's open, it's out there. There's also the fact that what the Scions do has impact. A great example is one that they gave in the Scion Origin book for this edition. That is, currently, the Shen don't proselytize. They don't try to convert. And they don't generally expand their area by force. But what if you have a instance where there's a small island and a Scion of one of these Shen defeats a Titan spawn there. A Titan spawn that had corrupted the populace. And the Scion then decides, oh, well, there's only one way to keep this from happening on this island again. Convert the populace to my pantheon. And the Scion does this. And then suddenly other Scion of Shen start converting, start proselytizing. Because what this one Scion did, it created a story. And that story rippled back into the Pantheon, became part of the Pantheon. That there are now circumstances where it's okay to proselytize, where it's okay to expand the area of the Shen by force. And that ripples in. Because what a Scion does affects the narrative of the Pantheon. And by affecting the narrative, that affects the Pantheon itself. It affects its principles, its beliefs. Might take a little bit. Might take a couple instances of that. But it's going to work its way into the nature of the Pantheon. Because the Scions are partially divine entities. And what they do, what their stories spread, what their legends tell, becomes part of the stories of that Pantheon. And with that, next week I will be going over the Pantheons themselves in the second edition of Scion. I look forward to seeing you then. So until next time, I just want you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.